Whoa, that was hot. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of the worst idea of all time, Season Emmanuelle. I'm Guy Montgomery, joined as always by the very aroused Tim Batt.
Tēnā koutou.
Tēnā koutou katoa. And we have the fantastic, possibly aroused?
No.
Ella Snedden.
Yeah. Wow. I feel like I'm on a commercial radio show.
For what?
For nothing. No, nothing in particular. Just pop music.
For commercials, man.
Yeah. You know, you understand commercial radio?
do you understand how radio works, Guy?
No.
They put songs on, and the songs are there so that they can play ads, and the ads are there to pay some fucking idiots to tell you horoscopes of some horse shit on the half hour.
When anyone ever guests on a commercial radio show and they introduce you, everyone always claps.
Yeah.
I love that.
Of course you fucking do.
Do you not love that?
I'm always like, eh? I haven't done anything yet.
It's a way to generate energy.
How do you feel
I
when
know.
people applaud you to the stage when you're performing comedy?
Like it's deserved.
Why?
That's based on historic career highlights. You know my work.
How
The
you
applause is
applaud?
always much louder when I enter the stage than it is when I leave.
How you feel arriving on stage at a stand-up comedy gig?
I know.
That's how I feel arriving to a commercial radio booth.
Right, so you have been on commercial radio.
Yes.
So you do understand what I was talking about.
No.
You just made an active decision to block me immediately
No.
at the top of the podcast.
I've been on it, but I've never understood it.
Who famously said seconds before I hit record, who's ready to riff?
And I put my hand up. I am. Tim, you defiantly kept your hand down.
No, that's true, actually. That's a
So
good point.
Alice and I will be doing some more of these signature riffs while Tim watches on from the sidelines.
Oh, God.
Hey, so
What can I do?
What?
I'll grade them.
Yeah. Alice, first of
Yes.
all, welcome back to the country.
Thank you. It's so nice to be here.
You've spent 2 weeks in managed isolation.
I have.
You are now free to do as you so choose.
Yes.
How many days have you been out in the wild?
4.
Well, it is an honour that within 4 days you opted to come to Tim Batt's house on a Tuesday morning at 10 a.m.
Yep.
Strap yourself in, flanked by a couple of boner boys, to enjoy an
work
erotic
on that
screening
title.
of Emmanuelle in space.
Fuck. And I honestly, it's one of those moments where you sit down at a chair and you do reflect on the decisions you've made in your life. Because when I came into this podcast, I had just exercised. So I was on what could only be described as a high.
You were flying high.
I was. Tim asked me how I was, and I could confidently answer good. And then over the last 90 minutes, my mental state of being has degraded significantly.
I'm sorry. I can't help but feel partially responsible.
I think if you cast yourself as being partially responsible, you're not taking enough of the blame.
I
I
feel
see what you're saying.
I feel no responsibility.
No, of course you don't, you little bitch.
I feel grateful on your behalf to be a part of this.
Then I will not allow this gaslighting to continue.
This isn't gaslighting.
Yeah.
This is just straight up and down how I see it.
Yeah, you are the person who always feels gratitude on my behalf. I'm never not carrying the weight of anything that's happening to me, and you are never not carrying the joy of anything that's happening to me.
I do what little I can.
You're like
Yeah.
a Dorian Gray for her happiness.
Yeah, a very desirable role. So it was an interesting film today. Previously in the Emmanuelle in Space subset of the franchise, we've had Emmanuelle bringing down various different aliens and
Yeah.
guiding them through sex and sexuality, and also
And sexuality? Just heterosexuality?
No,
No.
there's been some exploration of other ways of
she's-
doing things.
Wow, I love that. And I am nothing but disappointed that was not the film
well,
I
yes,
saw.
you got the most monogamous, heteronormative sort of
Real meat and potatoes fucking
penis
today,
in the
folks.
vagina,
Yeah.
version of sex.
Well, here's what I would say, though. I'm assuming there was penis in the vagina. Not once did I actually get to see
you were very
penis
cross.
in the
You
vagina.
were cross about that. Sight unseen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm really sorry. I feel like we got you here under false pretenses.
A
because
little bit.
When it was revealed that you would not be seeing any penis, you were
I
gutted.
was pretty explicit when I said, do you want to do this? I
Can
said,
I adjust your mic?
Yeah.
Can you adjust your mic?
Yeah. Do you want me to talk more like this?
Yeah, that'd be great.
I said it was going to be softcore,
Right. And I think I just don't keep trying to get that off the ground.
Soft corn going.
Soft corn is a good name for this genre.
Fucking hell.
On Tuesdays, we soft corn.
Oh my God. I just wish that people could see the face that you deliver that way.
That's the face of the
sense
caption.
Of smugness has never been so strong.
It's me and the gals
in you.
having a mimosa, huddled around a laptop in some restaurant courtyard, saying,
on Saturdays we brunch, and on Tuesdays
we soft corn with this one.
Can you do the soft corn face again? Because now I'm video recording you.
I have to say it to do it.
Yeah.
So I go, on Tuesdays, we soft corn.
Oh, Jesus.
It's very visceral. I really like. I feel angry at
So
you.
one of the things with softcore pornography is you do not see the penis. We trust, actually, I imagine, every sex scene, I'm imagining more than the actual experience of the intercourse. I'm just imagining it from the perspective of the turgid penis strapped down against the thigh of the male performer. Is my guess on what they do with it. A lot of exposed ass.
So much exposed
They've got to
ass.
dress it up somehow to keep the set safe. Intimacy coordinators must be working overtime on these.
I would hazard a guess that there is not a single intimacy coordinator on any of these sets ever.
There was a period where you were impressed by the forward thinking of, for a soft corn made in 94, 95.
Yeah, that's right. She was a strong, independent woman.
Yeah.
At one point.
Yeah, I was going to say briefly.
Briefly, yeah. I reckon there was about a minute and a half interlude where and I think that was all improvised. I don't think that was in the script.
Yeah.
I think she was like, I'll just chuck this in there and see if it makes the cut. And they only get one take, so they had to go with it.
And
To be fair, she nailed it.
She
Chris
nailed
Allen did a
it.
great job.
Absolutely. Was that when you were the most aroused?
Here's what's interesting about it. My approach to porn in general is that in regular porn, I don't love those close-up shots of like penis and vagina, and I don't love so I'm interested that is the thing that I missed from like the absence of that. You know, maybe it's absence makes the heart grow fond.
I say absence makes the cock grow longer.
Jesus. I wish for you to never say that again.
Guys on a tear, but it's like the wrong kind of tear.
It's like doing dad jokes about softcore porn.
I'm tearing my underpants open.
Oh my God.
I am making this record an unsafe space.
No, not at all, please. I've never felt more safe around you.
Thank you.
I think my issue with it, I was not aroused at one point during the entire film.
There was a moment when you said that this is where you sort of were staring down the barrel of the idea of arousal.
Yeah, well, see, because I think what it is that in my personal life, I'm considering myself right now quite horny and experiencing the absence of a way to express that unless it's alone in my bedroom.
Very respectful.
Yeah. On my own time.
An upstanding citizen.
With no one else around. Everyone consents.
With a New Zealand flag in front of you. Saluting a big photo of Jacinda Ardern.
Jesus God.
The sound of thunderstorms echoing through your Yui boom.
Yeah, so I think that's what bothered me about it, was that I was forced now to watch 90 minutes of sex, knowing full well that I may never have sex again in my life, or at least not for a very long time. And so what is this? This is like...
You and Rose, I feel like, get into these spaces where you don't have sex for a little bit. And
I believe every time I have sex, it's the last time.
Is that how you feel in the moment or immediately after the
Immediately
fact?
after I go, well, that will never happen again.
Do you say it to the person you've just had sex with?
From time to time. Oh God, yeah. You know, like how like when babies are, this is maybe a weird analogy to make because it involves babies, but when babies are very young, they have no sense of object permanence. So when something's gone, they don't know that it's like when they turn their head, they don't know that the thing still exists there.
That's you.
Right.
That's me with sex.
So unless you're actively doing it, you're convinced it can't exist
I'm
for you.
convinced it'll never
This
happen
would be
again.
like if you were showing a baby a rattle and they loved the rattle and then took the rattle away and then a day later you showed them a video of a rattle. That's what this experience is for you.
I will say that I still don't know if I'm entirely comfortable with this analogy, but I know that I am the one who brought it to the table.
Could you just, as best as you can, describe what happened in this movie, what the plot was?
Yeah, I reckon I could give it a really good. So
this is Emmanuelle in space number 5. I can't remember the subtitle.
Emmanuelle and Ephron, an alien, go down to Earth to have sex in a variety of international locations, but I suspect in a singular chain hotel because all of the rooms look the same.
Yes, they do.
But the soundtrack sounds different.
The soundtrack sounds very different. And during the course of that, Ephron's jealousy and adoption of some human behaviors mean that the government start to get suspicious that there is an alien on Earth, leading to a chase.
We need to probably drill down a little bit more into the connection between Ephron, as you're calling him, which I will do in solidarity with you.
Thank you.
Ephron's jealousy leading to government agencies being aware that there's an extraterrestrial on planet Earth.
Yes, so you're right in that when they were in France, Paris, to be more specific.
That's right. We knew it was Paris because an American man said the word mademoiselle at one point.
And there was an exterior shot of the Eiffel Tower.
You can't just get those anywhere.
I love there's a Splinter Crew set to Paris just for that one shot of the Eiffel Tower.
Well, we've got to get some footage that doesn't exist yet, so someone's got to film the Eiffel Tower so we can splice it in.
That's right. Yeah, so there was a threat of another romantic liaison with Emmanuelle, and he got jealous and slashed his tires, and then what do you call it when you change into shapeshifted into the body of this man, tried to hit on Emmanuelle, who rejected it, thus proving that she had feelings and loyalty for him.
You've done the thing that I do as well, where you've forgotten the first third of the movie. Do you remember the bit where they were in the club?
Oh my God, they were playing squash. Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of
that's what's
shit.
fucked up about it, was that he got to fuck other girls and she was just like, cool, man,
And
happy for you.
And to the film's credit, that is a point that she articulated very clearly, concisely and brilliantly, where he was like, he was becoming jealous and he goes, what are you doing? And she goes, what the fuck are you doing? What, are you finished with your research? The average female woman orgasms 2.4 times during sex.
He got
honestly insane.
It made me feel incredibly small.
That's wild.
She started mocking him by doing his voice and rattling off a bunch of human sex facts, and I was fucking here for it because that cunt has C-bomb gaslighting Emmanuelle for 5 movies.
Well, because he keeps feigning ignorance. Like, he just keeps using the fact that he's an alien researching sexual experience to, like, as a cloak under which he just fucks up a storm. And then if Emmanuelle so much as, flits her eyelids at anyone else.
It's that other guys are like, hey, this is an incredibly beautiful woman. Maybe I'll try and buy her a drink.
Yeah.
And then Heffron picks a fucking sad.
I know,
it's like a little 6-year-old sulking around.
It's essentially a toxic relationship.
It is incredibly toxic. He doesn't just pack a sad. He obstructs the potential of their date and then assumes the body of the person. And
that's messed up.
It's totally illegal.
Yeah.
And in doing that...
And pretty cool.
Yeah, and also legendary. Obviously, I would do that if I could.
Yeah.
But in doing that, so a government agency is... Heffron says the reason he's experiencing...
Is his name Heffron?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like Heffron.
Yeah, sure.
So the reason he says he's experiencing jealousy is it's dangerous if other humans find out that he is an alien on Earth.
But he is the only one ever putting them at risk of finding out that he is an alien on Earth. Because he keeps shape-shifting into other people. He keeps causing mischief.
Yeah. He shape-shifts at will on a public beach in Hong Kong. He is a thought experiment. They actually had a lot of sort of comedy fun with the shape-shifting in this.
They really did.
They were talking about the concept of being in love with someone, and Emmanuelle was like, because he couldn't understand why beautiful women would ever be with men who weren't as attractive. Blew his fucking mind.
Also,
and Heffron's going, I'm hot as shit. Why isn't everyone in the world with me and not their ugly partners?
And he saw an old couple walking down and he was like, they are ugly.
Yeah.
And Emmanuelle says, you can't say that.
And she's
like,
right.
And he says, but they are.
And so then they have a frank discussion about the notion of love, and she's articulating that physical appearance can be transcended when you're actually in a loving relationship with someone.
Her definition of love is when the other person is beautiful to you all the time.
Yes.
Which I don't mind as a definition of love.
Yeah, for a softcore porn, I think
sweet.
it's near enough.
Because you were at one point, I believe you were being facetious. You described some of the dialogue as Oscar worthy. Was that sincere, or were you pulling my leg?
No, that was 100% sincere. I thought that this film, Emmanuelle in Space #5, deserved to win the finest award you can get in film screenwriting.
I couldn't agree more. So yeah, that is the plot in earnest. And there's an argument Tim and I had during it, because this movie, it's interesting for you. You saw it without the context of the previous 4 Emmanuelles in Space. Somehow kept up.
I did I did wonder what I was missing out on.
Well, in terms of a narrative arc across, I think it's 7, that they are now introducing like a worth or a value in having watched all of these movies sequentially, because Heffron and Emmanuelle's relationship is, I mean, both plot-wise and sex scene-wise, is the sole focal point of this movie. This is the first film in which we haven't seen any other pairing of people have sex.
And what I found out,
we did see Heffron have sex with the woman from the squash club
one time.
Yeah.
What I found out is when you do that and just focus on one couple to have all of the sex in a movie, is it causes Alice Snedden to want to poke her eyes out with her own fingers.
It's just so long.
It's
so long. It's the longest.
Angrily bored.
Well, I just was like, I don't know how to describe it other than it did feel like hitting my head against a wall, because the sex was boring as well. Like, we were just seeing the same type of sex over and over again.
In the same tub.
And in the same tub. It didn't matter what country they were in. They always had that bathtub.
Can you describe the kind of sex they were having?
Well, yeah. So it was a lot of her on top, a lot of her riding him. A lot of very slow but lacking in passion sex. Like, just so slow but without any passion. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, and you also took issue with how some of the sex scenes were cut together.
Oh my God. Well, there was no continuity. So, like, if I was watching that... So this is something that bothers me about porn in general when I try to masturbate to it. Is that
have you ever successfully masturbated to porn?
I'm proud to say yes, and many a time I have. I've pulled it off against the odds.
In spite of the odds.
I've done what no person has ever managed before, and I have come while watching porn. It's incredible.
Huge.
Well, actually, I think now we're very
Our next guest is a woman who has come while watching porn. Welcome to the studio, Alice Snedden.
Thank you so much. I don't watch a lot of porn. I don't love it because I find that I don't come as well with porn as I do just with the power of my mind and recall.
Well, this is
inspiring.
Thank you. Yeah.
The new thing that everyone's doing is OnlyFans. Have you had a look and seen if there's any people that you gravitate
I'm never going to get
towards?
into that shit.
Why not?
No disrespect to anyone who does, but I'm just like, not for me. I'm just like, it's too much. I don't want to be personally invested sexually in a single person who I will never meet in my entire life.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything
that sounds
pretty healthy when you put it like that.
Yeah. Catering to your needs, that sounds like a pretty reasonable argument you've put forward. Well, I'll stop sending you invitations.
Yeah. But this was the point I was making about porn in general when I watch it, is that the thing that they always cut is the moment of penetration. And that has always irked me. It goes from making out to having sex, and like it jump cuts to the sex, and that always bothered me because I'm like, fucking hell, like I need like a little bit of build up.
Yeah,
do you know
need
what
to be
I mean?
Carried along the journey.
And then I always get focused on weird specifics, like in a lot of the porn that you just find on the internet. You guys know?
There's porn on the internet.
Yeah, there's porn on the internet. You don't have to go to the store anymore.
You're trying to take a wholesome stroll down the information superhighway, and you can't help but come across
some porn. Their eyebrows are always really bad, and that's like the sort of thing that bothers me.
This is why we never should have introduced high definition to pornography.
It's not even in high def. I'm just like, who's plucking those things?
Yeah,
like,
Alice is watching her porn in 240.
No, I watch it in 4K.
Yes. Because
So
she's
I can go in
doing well for
40%.
herself.
Yeah.
I'll fucking say.
Yeah, God, No, never mind.
And so the cuts were bothering you. If you were to forecast, you were sort of saying if you were to imagine yourself trying to masturbate to this, it's unfollowable.
Yeah, exactly. And the point I would make about these films is you are trying to tell a story as well. This is not your regular run-of-the-mill porn where we're just here for the fucking. They're trying to tell a story. So the sex has to be... I'm getting so wound up about this.
Yeah, great.
Really
the sex has to be a part of that story. And if you're just cutting between different modes and elements of the sex, then there's no story growth there. The graph goes up, it stops, and then it goes along flat. There's no development.
What about
There's
when
no
they
character
started
development.
introducing the X-Files style subplot, where there was all of a sudden
It waited so late, though. It was like we were halfway through the third act before that, and it would have been good to propel the whole movie forward.
By that point, I was like, the drama in this relationship is not that you're an alien, it's that you fundamentally don't respect her.
It's that you're a child, Heffron.
It's that
You're a man
child.
baby.
And I was like, why are you introducing this third element? What we actually need to deal with here is the power dynamics in this relationship.
That does not sound very groovy, baby.
I think you'd be surprised because if they had a really respectful relationship, the sex is going to explode. It's
Yeah.
going to be incredible.
One other thing. And another thing.
And another thing, they never went down on each other, and that I find offensive.
Well, she did in the satin sheets, remember, that hadn't been ironed.
Well,
And you actually
barely, okay? The amount of time she was going down on him, it's like she licked his dick once and then came back up and they fucked again.
Have you
the
ever seen an
same way.
alien's penis?
No, actually, I haven't.
Unsightly thing.
Oh,
All
right then.
green and tentacles.
But she's got a human pussy. Like, he can manage that.
Yeah.
You know? Like, come on, man. Like,
It
eat her
does-
out once.
It adds to the whole thing of him being a man baby to me. It's just
And
like, I can't take this
and
guy
also
seriously.
trading on his ignorance to be like, oh, what? Oh, no, I don't
Oh,
understand.
no, sorry, I'm new to this world. I couldn't possibly go down on
is that
you.
a thing people do? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's so annoying to me.
You guys remember when DJ Khaled?
Yes.
When he did that thing on social media where he said he doesn't eat pussy because a king doesn't do that, and everyone was like, "I'm sorry, bro." What?
I do not remember that. I missed that.
There is,
It was
damn.
so funny.
yeah, it's crazy to me that that's a thing, that there are some heterosexual men who won't go down on women.
Growing up, it
or
was
some gay women who won't go down on
It
women.
was kind of
Outrageous.
I mean, to me,
It was
is
one of the like
bizarre.
prevailing winds of peer pressure, like, you know, the sexuality you experience as you are going through adolescence. I feel like, not that we were talking explicitly about the particulars of how you have sex, but the notion that that was unappealing was certainly one that I was
Of
on my
course.
periphery.
I reckon that's gone. I reckon these teenagers, they're so much better than us. I reckon they're going
totally-
down on each other exclusively. They're not even having penetrative sex
I mean this.
anymore.
It's the best thing for teenagers to do.
Truly
it's the
is.
most low risk scenario,
Yeah.
and if you do it right, it's a lot of fun.
It's a hell of a lot of fun.
It's like there's no consequences, you know,
Yeah.
aside from emotional potential.
Okay, so can you just tell me a little bit more about how you do it?
We'll get you a brochure, guy. We'll find a pamphlet.
I just think, yeah, it's crazy. Maybe this as well as like a gay thing where I feel like oral sex is such a big part of my sex life that to not see it, I'm like, well, okay,
What's going on?
yeah, it's like we've come for a 3-course meal and they've not served me dinner.
Yeah, but you've
We've
gone into
we've gone entree and dessert.
a restaurant that opened and has not changed its menu since 1994.
94 wasn't even that long
in
ago.
2020.
I'm sorry, but people were eating each other out in 94.
94
This is
is
like-
a long time ago. It's 26 years.
No.
That's a person.
Is that true?
You cannot
Oh,
tell me
God.
that people who existed in 94 weren't going down on each other.
This is the thing. Chris Parker brought this up in the last episode. Bisexuality was like very, I feel like, massive and normalized in the mid-90s, and then we regressed as a society away from it.
Yes, we
So,
should have.
I reckon oral sex was like way bigger and normalized in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I think this movie suffers from the same thing that stand-up comedy had in the early 90s, where everyone's like, oh, my bitch wife. It's just like, dude, what do you just... Get a divorce. This
Yeah,
is not
totally.
a difficult thing.
Yeah.
This is awful.
Well-
But those tropes get just entrenched and they don't make any sense.
I mean, some of my anger at this movie would absolutely have been dissipated if I had managed to see any dick at all.
Oh,
That would have helped a
Well,
lot. Because
this-
we
yeah.
do get some full frontals of her.
Did we?
Well,
Yeah.
you're not like seeing
Mons pubis.
Yeah, you're seeing the mound. You're not seeing the underneath, the
Doggers call it
underside.
Mons
Undercarriage.
pubis, but I call it her pubis. Hi, I'm Guy Montgomery. Well, Alice, you've got a lot of notes on this film, and
Yeah.
it sort of it segues quite neatly into a segment that, you know, if you strip it from context, will make more sense. But it's called Picture Porno
Okay,
with George Lazenby.
nice. I know the porno that I want to make already.
Oh my god.
Fantastic.
No, I know the fantasy that I want to explore, which is one I had as a young teen, which is basketball themed.
I'm listening.
And I think it comes from, I recently actually watched Love and Basketball. Have you guys seen that? It's a great, sexy film. But the fantasy itself comes from, I one time in primary school played basketball with this guy who I thought was so cute. And at one point, and I think it was kind of a sexual awakening moment for me, I had the ball and he was behind me and he was reaching for it. And there was something about that that's always stayed in my subconscious about like, this is the sex I want to explore. So the porno I want to see is a one-on-one basketball match
Yes.
that ends in fucking.
How is this? This has got to have happened. This is very
Surely.
sexy.
I mean, it's got all the things I like, which is like competition and sex.
Set it up for me. How are they playing? Do they know each other?
No, so they're actually they're strangers. So these two strangers, they have seen each other on the court at various times, just themselves playing horse at either ends of the court.
Basketball's traditionally quite social. So
No, these are just two loners.
They're star-crossed
Yeah.
basketball players.
So they were both champion basketball players, but they both suffered career-ending injuries.
oh my god.
Yeah, so now they don't play for sport as much, just for like the love of that. You know, they can't put the same pressure on their knee. They both did their ACLs, so they can't put the same pressure.
is this in the
on...
film? The ACLs
Yeah, no, it's in flashback form.
during the coitus?
We cut no. It's well before that. We cut away. It's kind of like Family Guy style, you know. We like cut
to
to a
gruesome
flash-
ACL injuries.
to gruesome ACL injuries. One on the ski slopes and the other on the basketball
Well,
court.
you shouldn't be skiing if you're a professional
Yeah, I
basketball
know.
player.
And that's him. That's one of his massive regrets. This actually, weirdly, I'm casting a straight porno, but like it should be gay.
It still
But
can
in my
be.
mind, the fantasy I think is straight. Its origins were heterosexual.
Okay, you want to honour those.
I want to honour those. Yeah, I don't want to stray too much from the core
Source material.
source
Yeah.
material.
I feel like
yeah.
I'm hearing the pitch and a thank you speech at the same time.
Anyway, the ball hits off the backboard and rolls over to the other side of the court, and they start chatting a little bit. He's kind of into her, suggests maybe they play a game, and she's like, not today. So there's tension.
Huh.
And then the next day returns to the court, and they're playing again, and then this time she goes over to him and is like, how about that game?
What changed? Did she just want to play it cool? on the
So what I
initial?
haven't told you is that she's got a best friend who really told her that she needs to get out there more.
Very cool. So that's the scene that's
So
in between
actually,
the 2
in
days?
between, she goes home and fucks her best friend.
Love it.
This character who, like, they just have fun. They're platonic flatmates or whatever. And she's like, you've got to get out there more. And she's like, okay, I'm going to get out there
Wait,
more.
but they fuck. The
They
flatmates.
fuck. Yeah,
Okay,
they
cool.
fuck. Well, it's a porno, I assume. You know, in the movie version of this,
Yeah,
they
sure.
wouldn't fuck.
Okay.
But this is a porn film. I feel like whenever two people are on screen, if they're not fucking, then there's no point in them being in the movie.
God, does
is
this
that
movie-
not? Is that not a rule of
does-
thumb for porn?
Not the one we just watched.
Yeah, sadly not.
It's true.
Do you think your porn would meet the Bechdel test?
No, but I will say this:
Proudly.
they'll talk about the Bechdel test.
That's the funniest way to approach it.
The straight couple will talk about the
Acknowledge it,
Bechdel.
look down the barrel of the camera, and never successfully have the combo.
It'll be self-referential. Anyway, the basketball game escalates. They have sex on the court. They hit the showers. They have sex there. Then
Fantastic.
They start. And I'd say before the sex happens, there's a montage of them playing more and more games together. They get more and more physical, and they get closer and closer and closer. And then the sex happens.
Do either of them blow out an ACL during the sex?
No, actually, their knees hold, and that's the beautiful ending to it, is that they realise through the vigorous physical activity of the sex they've had that their knees actually can take it.
Do they both get back into basketball?
Basketball teams again.
Fuck, that's good.
I love it.
Anyway.
What's the duration on this bad boy?
208 minutes. You got to see it in gold class.
That's not bad.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. That was inspired.
Yeah, you're welcome. Is
2
that what-
hours 48.
Yeah.
We're getting into Lord of the Rings.
That's longer than 2 hours
Territory.
48, isn't it?
208 minutes.
That's
is,
at least 3 hours.
Oh, you're right. I did the math
It's
way wrong.
3.5 hours. It's a Lord of the Rings.
That includes a 20-minute intermission.
What do people do? They clean
Oh, they
themselves
go
up.
into the bathrooms and they fuck. they masturbate. Yeah, so I'm assuming people are watching this at a cinema in New Zealand because of COVID. You know, we're all good.
Incredible.
Yeah.
So specific. I think I because it was born of a true sort of moment in your life or awakening. It was very I could really feel your desire for this to be realised as a film or an experience.
And
Inspiring
that's how all
stuff.
good movies should be made. A story you are desperate to tell.
A story
And
I am desperate to tell.
It seems like there is some urgency to getting this production on the screen. I could absolutely see you directing this.
Directing
Let's
this
do
porno.
it. Let's get some financing together.
Let's just put it together.
Let's make this porno.
Oh, I know who we need to cast in it. And
Go.
he's
I'll do
around
it.
and he's so handsome. No, it's not you.
No worries. You
I'm
got
sorry,
it.
you couldn't be more wrong.
No,
Absolutely.
No.
I'll have to talk to people, but I'll do it.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's exciting, actually.
Wait, who are you going to cast?
I can't say his name because he's a real person. Yeah.
It's the guy from your
It's the
teenage
guy from my
years.
fantasy,
Oh, wow.
yeah, from my teenage years.
Do you think he can act?
He's hot in a
or
well, he's a
fuck?
model.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I had good taste early on. Not into him now. He is, a nice guy, but
A model.
a model. Yeah.
What does
fair.
that mean?
Not all there.
Well, I think it's about time to welcome
No,
in.
I'm kidding. I know lots of models and I think they're great.
It's time to welcome in the Boner Inspector.
Yeah, Boner Inspector! Boners! This actually really highlights the issue that we face as the podcast moves forward. is that
Absolutely.
even if we just watched the most arousing film of all time, Alice, it would have been nigh impossible for you to achieve a boner.
Yes, it would have. Though I could have gotten wet.
Yes.
Okay,
And instead I stayed bone dry.
interesting.
Okay. So
Well,
what?
we'll call the Puddle Inspector.
Oh no! Oh no!
I love that, actually.
Puddle Inspector! Here to inspect any puddles?
Jeez Louise.
God.
No, that whole film watching experience felt very unerotic.
It was.
I was like telling Alice to
opposite.
stop doing crosswords on her phone.
Yeah. There was only one section. Credit to
No,
Alice.
No,
that
it
was
was two.
twice.
My God.
I'm so sorry.
It could not have been more boring. And I'm
Oh,
trying to
I-
put my finger on. It's what you said. There was no sense of like escalation or
Yeah. And the
up and down.
there were no stakes.
There was no
because he can
stakes.
just move anywhere in
Yeah.
the world, including space.
Well,
at
that
any
whole
time.
cat and mouse thing between the government officials, which by the way was a twist I thoroughly enjoyed that they put in. They put in right at the end of the flick. If that was the
Yeah.
whole movie, if that was one of the things in the whole movie, so it's like, what are we dealing with? Heffron is discovering jealousy for the first time. Interesting. Also, there is a team of highly paid professionals from the US Air Force who know that aliens exist because, and this is canon, this was one of the conversations that happened, there was another alien, presumably of Heffron's race, who visited Earth originally, but he was not a peace-loving science alien. He was one who loved to fuck around, and he was an outlaw.
He was a rogue outlaw.
And
We
he
don't even know
caused-
that he was there for sex at all. We just know that he was
a troublemaker.
a troublemaker. That's
And
right.
so he caused trouble on Earth, and then the US government had to form some sort of crack unit to chase down these, keep an eye on things, and Heffron's been picked up by them.
If I had been producing this film, I would have condensed the squash storyline with the French
I'm gonna put that mic
storyline.
closer to
Oh,
you.
sorry.
Yes.
If I had been doing this film, I would have condensed the squash. Oh, easy. This is not worth the trouble I've gone to now to say this sentence.
This feels like it's going to be groundbreaking.
I actually am on the edge of my seat. Condense the squash
The squash party, the party where they're at there.
Yeah.
That's where you would have introduced the cops chasing them.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you would have cut the whole Paris
And
bit.
do you know?
There was nothing It was just for that guy, that American dipshit who's got a Porsche whose
because she
tires
could have
got
had
slashed.
someone at the party who Ephron got jealous of.
Yeah, it should be that smarmy asshole guy.
Yeah, exactly.
That should have been one of the cops. But I was invested in the X-Files style story. I wonder, Tim, knowing what you do about the franchise to this point,
X-Files?
do you think, the Emmanuelle in Space franchise, do you think that this cat and mouse sort of alien on the loose subplot will return in either of the two remaining Emmanuelle in Space films?
I want it to. I think it should. And I have no faith for them to carry it on because it is a good idea. I think they'll just abandon it.
What's a good idea?
To carry it on.
The cat and mouse
element. I think they'll just abandon it.
I'm also you do have the opportunity for eroticism between the detectives and the aliens.
Yeah.
So much potential.
We could realize that there are no differences between us.
Emmanuelle, starts fucking these cops, and then that creates all kinds of complications with Heffron because they're the very people trying to chase him down.
I think if Emmanuelle has sex with any of the agents, that's just going to escalate the tension between her and Heffron, and also between the alien species and the people on Earth.
I have a question to ask regarding the aliens. The body, they look like humans. Is that because they are inhabiting a human form?
I believe so.
So have we ever seen the aliens in their natural form?
No, they can't afford to show us that, unfortunately. It's not in the production budget.
Okay, sure.
Although they go... This is what I want to kind of explore a little bit. Why do they constantly go to a lot of different countries every movie? And
because that's in the spirit of the Emmanuelle franchise, predating Emmanuelle in Space. So much of the film was about international travel, glitz, glamour.
It's that exotica thing, isn't it? Also,
have you ever had sex overseas, Tim?
It's never.
It's pretty cool.
I haven't had sex on seas.
Oh,
Right, I'm a virgin, which is what this whole season was about.
I don't think I've had sex on a boat.
On a boat.
I've not had sex on a boat.
I haven't had sex on a boat. Do we need to go have sex on a boat?
Sounds like it.
The three of us.
Do you think it's possible that for these 7 movies, the Emmanuelle in Spaces, do you reckon they could have shot all of them at once, and that's how they kind of pulled off all the locations? Is that feasible?
I think that you're giving it... sorry, in your mind, are you assuming they were actually in these locations?
The credits rolled and it said
Tim,
Ireland
there
unit.
is no way on earth that they went anywhere other than America.
They had a pitch... I could see the Eiffel Tower in the film.
They have not gone
There's
anywhere.
only 2 of those. There's one in Paris and one in Las Vegas.
This was shot in 3 rooms in some fucking LA lot set from Days of Our Lives where they threw them away.
If this is true, it is a credit to the filmmakers that I feel like I've just gallivanted around the world.
Riddle me this, Alice. How do we have the sounds of a sitar if this was shot entirely in America?
Yeah, how can some of the film be set in Hong Kong if you're telling me they were in Los Angeles, California the whole time?
That was a funny moment. So Emmanuelle floats, they're like, where should we go? We can fucking go anywhere. We're teleporting now. And Emmanuelle floats, I've always wanted to go to Hong Kong. And Heffron goes, really?
Oh, yeah.
And this is on top of 2 movies ago where there's a Chinese commissary who comes and visits the fuck palaces to make sure everything's in order. And they go to pains to remind you that Tibet is under the ownership, essentially, of China. I'm thinking there's some Chinese money flowing into these productions. Where do you think
they got these big international budgets with the ability to film in multiple locations?
There was not a single exterior shot that had any of the characters in it when we established a country.
It's because the shots were of the buildings.
I'll kill you at this stage. That's how I feel about you right now.
There's a lot of love and respect in this room.
I love you. It would be a crime of love.
But a crime nonetheless.
Yeah, but a crime nonetheless. Exactly.
What do you think about our decision to do this as a whole season, Alice? Do you think it's a good idea?
Given the state of the world, I think this manages to do something which is contribute nothing. But can I just say this? I think given the state of the world, that in and of itself is amazing. Because a lot of people are doing stuff that contribute bad things, whereas this I feel like is neutral.
I'll take that.
Yeah, because the enjoyment people get from listening to the podcast is cancelled out by the pain experienced by those participating in the podcast, thus making it a joy-neutral experience.
Right. There's a saying about that, isn't it? For evil to win, all that needs to happen is for good people to stand by and watch softcore porn.
I believe that is the original quote.
That is.
Almost exactly. But no, wait, evil's going to win in that case. Well, we'll just rerun the same.
No, I think you guys are very, you're bold, you're brave.
Oh, we are brave.
You are the final frontier.
This is what I was looking for.
you.
Yeah,
You keep
you're
going.
pushing the boat out in ways that I could never imagine.
Yes.
And I'm proud of you, and I'm proud to know you.
Thank you, Alice.
Do you want
And I
us
can't wait to fuck you both on a boat.
Well-
really excited about that.
Yeah.
Should we give you a ring when we get the notion that some other slightly less boring version of Emmanuelle is in the pipes? Would you want to watch more porn with us?
I would absolutely watch more porn.
I would
with you.
really like you to come back as a return guest. We don't do often, but I would like you to come back. I have a somewhat worrying feeling that these films are going to get a lot more hardcore by the end of the season.
I'm excited for that. If there was a more hardcore version of it, now you've got my attention.
Okay. Well, when we get into the mid 2000s, when the internet has,
Wow, does it keep going that long?
I'm pretty sure some of
Yeah.
these are into the mid 2000s, and then it's competing with internet porn. So I think
Wow.
everyone's having to rise. It's a cold war of hardcore.
Can I just ask you one thing as a favor to me? So one time when I was in America, I masturbated to this porn that was set. It almost had 70s vibes about it, and it was on the side of the road. And all I remember
You were on the
about
side
it,
of the road.
Yeah, I was on the side of the road. Yeah, sorry. So it was on the side of the road in New York City. No,
I remember because I had terrible ABS at the time.
a joke for the 20 people who've ever seen me do stand up. So the scenario is side of the road. I think she's in a denim dress. I think it's a classic car, and he's in a shirt that's cut off and flowy and jeans.
The name of this podcast is not Porn Detectives, Alice.
Hey, hold on, but this
please
is
just
good.
hear me out, because I don't know if it's in this franchise. Maybe conceivably.
Oh, okay.
It was only a 10-minute clip of it that I saw.
Right.
The best porn I've ever seen.
What was so good about it?
I just kind of loved the art direction and
Incredible. Incredible to think of someone masturbating to the mise-en-scene.
Basically, and I've never found it again, and it exists almost as a unicorn in my life.
Do you, because some people, we can crowdsource this. Some people might have seen this. Do you have any other details that
So
would be
they fuck on
identifying?
they fuck on the bonnet of the car.
What did the guy look like? Did he have any
I think he had
identifying tattoos?
He had long hair. He was very built, very tan. And she was beautiful, and I think that's what I liked about it as well. She was very just naturally, classically beautiful, and a very I'd cast her as Rachel Weisz. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, nice.
That kind of vibe.
And do you see, was it hardcore or softcore?
You see dick and a bit of pussy.
I don't think you've ever seen softcore pornography based on your reaction to when I explained what the movie would be. You're like, what even is that? Why would you make it?
I don't think you see too much of it though. I think it's
Tastefully done.
It's tastefully done. It's not close-ups on the edge. From what this is going on 7-8 years ago. So my memory for it is only as good as it is.
Well, if
a strong finish to that sentence.
well articulated.
if we can track that down, you can either, if you're on Twitter, you can tweet directly at Alice.
No, please don't do
which
that.
Which I encourage you to
Not.
do. Make sure you tag her in.
No,
I think
please, I don't want that.
At Alice
Send all of it to
Snedden.
Worst Idea, and then I will come in privately and I will screen them.
Yeah, so if you do have any leads, please tweet them directly at Alice Snedden.
No,
There's 2 Ds.
Don't do
Her
that.
handle is at Alice Snedden,
please, I beg of
SNEDD.
you, do not send me random
ON.
porn. That would.
And
That
if
is my handle.
If you're not on Twitter, you can fire a message to the Worst Idea Facebook, which is facebook.com/worst idea of all time. There's no
Yes.
the in that one. Alice,
Yes, Tim.
Anything you want to add before we close things up here?
Just that I love you guys, and it's always a pleasure to spend time with you.
I love you too, and
Yeah.
it's so cool that we've got you back. I anticipate
you.
not forever.
Not forever, but at least a few months.
It's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
It's nice to see you and hang out with you.
Yeah, I love this.
Do you have anything you'd like to plug?
I don't have a single thing to plug.
Have you seen my Twitter account?
Yeah, we need to plug
I've
that
included
up.
that in my statement.
Well, that's about it.